People, hello, how are we? Hopefully we're all doing well. I'm Tom. Let's talk about how I have the Premier Division of boxing, the heavyweights, the Glory Division ranked. Now I'm going to do this based upon a few things. I'm taking into account, one, do I think 10 could beat everyone below them and lose to 9 and up? 9 beat 10 and below and lose to 8 and above, and that kind of thing. I'm going to look at recent form. That's why it's now, as of right now. I'm looking at the resume, who have they fought. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. I'm not strictly going on stats and statistics and number of fights. I'm going on current form, all of it, right? Jumping straight into it, number 10. This is the spot I think is probably most up for debate. I think at the other ones, you've got like, who do you have 4 and 3 and 5, but it's the same names, just how do you have them ranked? Who you have at 10 isn't like, it's not like you're getting confused between 10, 9, everyone's got the same top 10. It's just how do you have them? It's not that. This is the one where you've got maybe a couple of top 15 guys wanting to break in. For me, I have Martin Bakole. Now, before you shoot me down, again, it's a very arguable position, but I have Martin Bakole for a few reasons. Reason number one, how he dealt with Carlos Takam. If you haven't seen that fight, Carlos Takam's a fantastic gatekeeper, right? He's great for that top echelon of heavyweights, and it's a true test. And the way he was dealt with, the way Martin Bakole dealt with Carlos Takam really showed me, okay, he's that guy now. He's at that level. He's where he wants to be. The way he dealt with him was impressive. Coupled with a few other people, Frank Sanchez, things like that, taking a couple of losses, for me, puts Martin Bakole in there. I was kind of looking at Michael Hunter, maybe, a few of these guys, but I was like, actually, Frank Sanchez come off a loss, pushes him out for me. That is what pushes him out for me. Frank Sanchez, the way he lost, pushes him out top 10 for me. You've got, like I say, you've got Michael Hunter, for me, gets pushed out. Martin Bakole at number 10. And look, you could have it differently, but that's how I have it. Then I have at number 9, Hrgovic. Now, Hrgovic has dropped a lot. He could have been arguably top 5, whereas now he's on the cusp of being top 10. For a few reasons. I think the reason why he was top 5 is because, look, say what you want, he's not the most entertaining of fighters. Doesn't get the most knockouts, doesn't do any of that. But what he does do is win. What he did do was consistently win. And he was, whether you like it or not, a mandatory. So you can't have him too low. But he's just lost to Dubois, who I didn't have a top 10 guy. I didn't have him top 5 guy. I had him top 10. I had him in and around that 7, 6, 8 kind of area. And he just lost to him, which obviously elevates Dubois, but also lowers Hrgovic. And that loss for me showed that Hrgovic is what I thought, which is a top 10 guy, but not a top 5 guy. That's what it showed me. And for me, that loss, he's lost his unbeaten record. He lost to Dubois. He's on a downward spiral, and he needs to come back quick. So for me, I've got Hrgovic at 9. Moving into number 8, I've got Joe Joyce. He's fairly inactive, and Joyce was the talk of the town when he was beating people, but even then he was just absorbing shots. He always just took a beating, and he's come back and he's had his comeback fight, and it was somebody who you expected. It was supposed to be an easy touch. There's no two ways about it. There's no beating around the bush. It was supposed to be an easy touch for him, and it wasn't as easy a touch as it should have been. So for me, I'm at number 8. I think, look, I could see an argument for him being higher, but the people I've got above him, I think, on form right now. Joyce has come off the back of 2 losses to the same guy, and not a less than convincing win, but a win that wasn't done in the same style it should have been done. Which I have him at number 8 for that reason. Number 7, I have Caballero. Ajit Caballero, I think, for me, was on the cusp of a top 10, certainly top 20. I had him top 15, on the cusp of a top 10. He goes in, he wins against Makhmudov, and he was another dog there. No one expected him to win. He goes in, he wins against Makhmudov, and then comes in, beats Junior Farr. At the time, I had him maybe number 7, top 10 guy. and he beats him, derails the train there. He's got to be a top 10 guy. For me, you know, upper half of the upper half of the lower half of top 10, middle of top 10s. I am at number 7. I can see he's earned his way up to a big fight at the likes of the people that I have above him. He's earned it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the win. He looks good. He's had convincing wins where he's looked good. Moving into number 6, I have Daniel Dubois. Now, Daniel Dubois, I think you kind of have to say is better than the ones I have below him. Yes, he's got a loss to Joe Joyce. That was years ago. And he's clearly matured a lot since then. Yes, he's got a loss to Usyk, but there's no shame in losing to Usyk. I'm not going to hold that against you. It was a fantastic fight. He's a fantastic fighter. And I look at his comeback since, and the comeback against Jarrell Miller. Great. The way he did that. Beating Hrgovic, where he was an underdog. Not massively, but a 60-40 underdog. Some people had him as a massive underdog. And some of the comment sections on my video, especially when I first picked Dubois to beat Hrgovic, people were tearing me apart. And to win that fight, I have him up there. I was look, 6 might be generous. 6 might be generous. But for me, the wins he had over a Hrgovic that people ranked highly, Hrgovic that people ranked very highly, has him up there. The reason why I've got him that high is because I look at the rest and I go, Caballero, two great wins, but no one had him a world beater before then. I look at the Joe Joyce, and I think you can't have Joe Joyce. For me, I can't put Joe Joyce above him. Yes, Joe Joyce beat him, but that was years ago. He then lost to Zhang twice. And on recent form, as of right now, his win didn't even look too spectacular, whereas both Dubois' wins at the moment look good. So I got him there. And obviously then below that I got Hrgovic, so you have to have him above Hrgovic. I can't, on good conscience, put him inside the top 5 at the moment. And when you look at my top 5, I think you see why. So 6 might be a bit generous. I think to say it's harsh would be harsh. Because who are you putting above him? And do they really deserve that slot? Does Joyce really deserve to be above him? Does Hrgovic? Of course he doesn't. Caballero, I could see. Do you know what? I wouldn't be mad. If you switch Caballero and Dubois, I'm not mad at that. If you've got Dubois 7, Caballero 6, I don't hate that. But I think for me, Dubois having fought a Joyce, Dubois having fought an Usyk, and then going in there and fighting him, you know, the mandatory and Hrgovic and beating him, for me, I've got him above as of right now. Moving into number 5, I think you know how this top 5 is going to go. If you've been watching my videos, you know me, you definitely know how it's going to go. I got Zhilei Zhang at number 5. Look, I don't rate him. I think if I was going off my personal opinion, my personal, not taking like facts and all that into opinion, he beat Wilder, who I mean, I think we're starting to see he wasn't that guy anyway. He lost to Parker. That's fair enough. No shame in that. He lost to Hrgovic, controversially, but still lost to Hrgovic, who just lost to Dubois, and then obviously beat Joyce twice, who, fair enough, was the bigger man in the division. So I wouldn't be mad. You know, I was tempted to have Dubois at 5, Zhang at 6, Caballero at 7. I couldn't, in good conscience, have Zhang and Caballero the other way around. I couldn't do Zhang at 7, Caballero at 6. And that's also when it boiled down to, well, in that case, I've got to put Dubois. I was thinking, do I put Dubois or Caballero, which one where? And I was like, well, actually, if I could put Dubois above Zhang, but I couldn't put Caballero above Zhang, then obviously I put Dubois above Caballero. Now, I think Zhang's earned his spot as top 5. Now, yeah, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a Dubois there. And again, I think Dubois could be a top 5 guy. Dubois and Zhang, I have that argument. But I went for Zhang because he beat Joyce twice, which obviously Dubois couldn't. He beat Wilder and he nearly beat Parker. So for me, I got him at 5. Now, the ones above him have either already beaten him or I think could. So at 4, I've got Parker. Now, Parker beat Zhang. So therefore, Parker goes above Zhang. Parker beat Wilder. Parker is on fantastic form. And besides the man I've got at number 1, who we all know who he is, has probably the best record in his last 4 or 5 fights of any heavyweight. He is on a fantastic run and will get a title shot soon. He's got to. He's earned it. I've got him at 4 though, because the top 3, and I've always said this, there's just that gap. And I don't even think anyone. I think there's no argument to have anyone above Zhang. Above Parker, like anyone else above Parker. I think you got the top 3, a big gap, Parker, a big gap, Zhang, and the rest. Because Zhang, look, he nearly knocked him out a few times. I think Zhang's got the power. That's it. If you can box him and stay away from it, like Parker did, you got caught a few times, but you win. Right? Because he gasses. Look at Hrgovic. He gasses. I think that gap to Parker, I think Parker wins a rematch. And then that gap from Parker to the top 3, I think it's going to be a pretty big gap. So that I could see an argument with Dubois at 5, whatever you want to do it. Top 4, I don't think you certainly have the same guys in your top 4, right? Parker at number 4, fantastic run of form. At number 3, I'm going to get hate for this. And do you know what? I don't even care. Tyson Fury. I have Tyson Fury ranked number 3 because we look at his record across his career. He's got a lot of controversial wins. John McDermott, a lot of struggling fights. Steve Cunningham. But the bottom line is he got the wins, and that is fine. But he hasn't got as an impressive resume as AJ does. I look at AJ's, and yes, AJ has the guys above him. He lost to the guy 2 guys above him, AJ, Usyk. He lost to Usyk. Cool. Basically, I think who do you have 1 or 2? Sorry, who do you have 2 and 3? Fury, AJ, which order? AJ has 3 losses. Ruiz, which he avenged, and then Usyk. Well, 2 of them, Fury lost to Usyk. So it's just Ruiz, and he avenged that, right? And then the resume isn't as... Fury's resume is not as impressive as AJ's resume. I don't think. So there's that. AJ's run of form recently, Otto Wallin, and I look at it recently, Otto Wallin, who troubled Fury, was very unlucky not to get the stoppage win. And Ngannou, not very unlucky, but unlucky not to get, could have got a better result there. And AJ flattens them both. So, the guy below him, Parker, AJ's beaten him, granted many years ago, but AJ's beat him. So I think you have to have him in the top 3. Because AJ's beaten Parker. And I look at everyone else, and look, AJ's not really got any controversial wins. There's no controversial wins on his record, really. So for me, I've got Fury at number 3. I've got Fury number 3, and then I've got AJ number 2. Again, fantastic guy, put himself right back in contention off the back of those 2 Usyk losses. There were questions being asked. He threw himself right back in the mix, right back in contention. Rightly so. I think it's great. I can't wait to see him in there at Wembley against Dubois. That would be a fantastic fight. He needs a tough fight again. Great. He's had his rebuild done and see him back in the mix now. And number 1, who else but Usyk? Cemented himself, for me, as the greatest of this generation and one of the greatest of all times. I think it's tough to argue against that. In the little fights he's had, such little fights, to do what he's done, he's only got top-level opponents on his record, especially at heavyweight. He's beaten the 2 guys I have at 3 and 2. He's beaten both of them twice. One of them twice. Soon to be another man. The other one twice. He's certainly number 1. For me, one of the greatest of all times. You have to have him at number 1. I don't care. Look, I know he's not an out-and-out heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight who's come up and he wants to go back to cruiserweight, whatever it is. He's the best heavyweight. The best cruiserweight is also the best heavyweight. He's number 1. That's how I have it, people. If you have it any differently, let me know in the comment section down below. Any controversial opinions? Fair enough. I certainly see you can have, 10 to 5 in a different order. Mix and match. 10, you can have a few others in there, but top 4's got to be top 4. For me, number 1, certainly number 1. 4, certainly number 4. How do you have 2 and 3, people? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe if you know YouTube works. Peace.